So today I am with a dear friend of mine, Matt Fore, who's kind of has this split personality, and I say that lovingly, that he really's got kind of two careers going at the same time. But I am going to let Matt explain what is his day job and then who's the superhero that he becomes at night. So Matt, I'll let you share. How are you?
Yeah, I am fantastic. I guess so. By way of introduction, I've spent 15 years plus in sales and sales leadership roles at some of the largest technology companies in the world. Today, I lead a team at one of those technology companies in the sales division, doing about $110 million of revenue a year. My Clark Kent is you, Howard. You are my superhero. No, at in my day job, focused on IT and IT sales, but my love is really around finances and numbers. And we got introduced over some love of spreadsheets and love of understanding the flow of money. Because what I've understood in my learning is that the flow of money matters more than can you just bury it in the ground and let it grow over time. So I think we share a deep passion for that, and that's how we kind of got connected.
But beyond the spreadsheets, where is it that, we're trying to make our money grow? So where is it that you do most of your investing these days?
Yeah, so alternative assets, alternative being mostly real estate. I have my own single family portfolio that I kind of have and run by myself. And then I've got a partner with another guy who we go out and buy large commercial real estate assets and help investors invest in those assets so that they can receive the cash flow, the tax benefits, and the appreciation of them as well.
Fantastic. Now, I know when I was explaining, we met through an organization called Front Row Dads. When I was explaining what I do to some of the guys in the group, Matt reached out afterwards and it was just like, I'm kind of doing this already. Can you explain what you were doing? And then we'll get into what I'm doing slightly differently for others. So what have you been doing yourself?
Yeah, so going on this term of the flow of money versus just parking it and letting it appreciate, I believe in this idea of like infinite banking is what you'll hear on the interwebs. It's this idea that every dollar you spend has a cost associated with it, whether it's a cost today or a cost in the future from an opportunity cost or a cost in the future because of what that money could have been doing for you, earning interest elsewhere. So typically what I do when we go out and invest in real estate is I have a couple whole life policies. I borrow against those whole life policies at 5% and pump them into cash flowing real estate that earns 8, 10, 12%. Um, it's a really good strategy. However, the challenge with it is if anybody's used one of these before is it's not an open line of credit. It is a loan. So meaning every time I want to access money or pay money back, it's a process around it, multiple days, things like that. It's efficient, but not as efficient as kind of what you and I have been talking about over the past couple of weeks here.
Yeah, and so this is not a debate in terms of is a permanent life insurance policy good or bad. Okay, you can read plenty of YouTube videos, plenty of articles. That's not what we're really going about here. What Matt is doing is he's got a storage container of cash. And when an opportunity comes up, which doesn't come up every day or every week, but when an opportunity comes up, he's borrowing against that warehouse of cash and now utilizing it in two different places. Once you understood, or once I explained what I'm doing for people, that it's on a more frequent basis, let's just say that your investments is roughly quarterly, possibly, maybe every 2 months, but I'm trying to show people how to make money move faster. When you saw that, what was going through your mind?
So I knew of options out there, but one thing that I've appreciated about our conversations is not only are you super detail oriented and not only are you super knowledgeable about this, but you have the relationships to help set some of these things up. So I had looked at different ways of lines of credits and things like that that I could do to help speed up my flow of money versus a whole life policy. However, I didn't really know where to even begin with that or even know who to start with to open up those lines of credit. So I think one of the most beneficial things from our conversations is you're like, hey, have you heard of this type of line of credit? And oh, by the way, go call my contact here at this, and they can get it set up for you.
Awesome. And as you've been exploring this, obviously, again, you kind of know level one of this. So once you saw what I'll call level two, I mean, did it immediately click, or was it one of those still hesitations of like, no, this can't be real?
It immediately clicked for me, but I will say the first time I learned about this process or how to use lines of credit and really accelerate your money flow, it took me at least 3 months to understand. And I remember there was a specific moment in 2020 when I was doing math on the back of a notepad in Key West, Florida at 5 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't sleep once I understood this concept that I was literally writing it out to see the process work. So for those of you, if you meet with Howard and you don't really understand this or things like that at first, it's okay. I promise you that it does work and the math is there. It just takes a couple times to understand it because everything we're taught in finance is completely different than what I feel like you are an expert in and what you teach. And the reason being is because there's incentives tied to doing it the way that you're taught through mass marketing and things like that, that maybe most investors aren't aware of as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would put it as most people just think in terms of I make X and I want a house and the payment fits within the budget that I know. And so this idea of having variability in the payment, I think that's probably the biggest fear for most people because they're just like, I know how to budget. I don't know if all of a sudden and I bring up in terms of when I do a presentation, my house payment in 2021, now 2 years later, because the interest rates increased, is almost double. However, I didn't tell you my payment in 2021 was $350 a month. My payment now in 2023 has just ended was average $600 a month, which is still far less than most people's typical house payment. And so I understand and appreciate the risk and can accept the risk, knowing the reward is my overall monthly cash burn is far less, understanding how to do the strategy.
I
So, yeah.
I will swap you payments any day if you're open to it.
Knowing what your house payment is, the answer is I will not swap with you. Um, I don't want this to go on forever. What is, as you have learned and processed and kind of been reborn to this again, approximately 3 years later, because you said you were sitting on a beach trying to figure this out. What is it that you would share with others in terms of just even thinking about working and being financially led through cash flow coaching?
Two things. One is how your money flows through your personal economy matters more than anything in terms of wealth building and debt repayments and all those sorts of things. It's hard to like grasp, but I promise you it's the most important thing in terms of wealth building. The second thing is the concept is that simple interest is charged on how much money you have outstanding in a loan times the day. So how many days do you have it there? As opposed to most debt is structured with the reverse. We're going to charge you the interest first, and whatever is left, you're going to have to pay towards the balance. So changing that concept for me, I saw it with the whole life. But again, the whole life has some roadblocks and natural friction to the process. When I saw it with lines of credit, it made total sense more sense to me. So those are probably the two biggest things that I would take away.
Matt, perfect place to end. Thank you so much for your time. How can people find you, not in terms of IT sales, but how can they find you if they're intrigued of, hey, how does someone invest in an apartment complex or a car wash, which I know is a very big thing that you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, two places. One, I host a podcast called Ice Cream with Investors. Ice Cream with Investors. You can find it on all your major podcasting app. And then the second thing is you can go to our website, nextlevelincome.com. And in the top right corner, there is a button that says invest. That will lead you directly to my calendar. So Ice Cream with Investors as a podcast and nextlevelincome.com. Hit the button in the top right corner that says invest.
Hopefully one day I'll be a guest on his podcast. I haven't gotten to that level of notoriety yet, but
We're working on
I
it.
plan on getting there soon. Matt, thank you so much.
You got it.